Gas masks covering a school floor, x-rays showing the damage that wiped out an entire town, and basements where canned food melted together from a fire still burning underground. These are creepy finds inside evacuated towns. Centralia, Pennsylvania. It's been slowly cooking from the ground up since 1962, when a coal mine fire started burning underground and just never stopped. It's still burning to this day. The fire vents toxic gases up through cracks in the pavement, and it's killed off almost every tree in the area. The state eventually relocated most residents and knocked their homes down, but a lot of the old foundations and basements are still there, just swallowed up by overgrowth. If you manage to find one of those old basements, the first thing you'll notice is the heat radiating off the ground itself. But the strangest thing down there may be what happened to canned goods. Back in the 80s, as the underground fire crept directly beneath residential streets, the basement temperatures started spiking. Families bailing out of the town left behind shelves full of jarred peaches, canned vegetable soups, whatever they had stocked up, of course. And over the decades, the heat kept fluctuating. And those metal cans just kept expanding and contracting until they eventually burst or completely fused together. So there are these warped sculptures, melted tin cans that leaked their contents and hardened into this kind of sludge that's basically glued to the floor in solid chunks. Wittenoom in Western Australia is widely considered the most contaminated place in the entire southern hemisphere. It was a blue asbestos mining town, and the fibers are so thick in the air and soil that the government erased it from every official map and physically cut the power to force the last holdouts to leave. Because it's essentially a death zone, almost nobody goes back, which means the local hospital has been sitting completely untouched, in near perfect preservation. The creepiest thing inside isn't the rotting beds or shattered glass, that's all stuff you'd expect to see, but the x-rays. Chest films from the miners who lived and worked there are still scattered across the floors, or clipped to the light boxes in the walls, exactly where someone left them. Hold one up to the sunlight and you can see the shadows on the lungs, the physical evidence of asbestos. You're standing in a town destroyed by it, holding up x-rays showing what that asbestos did to the people inside. Along with the x-rays, there are old patient files showing how the workers got sicker over time, a lot of them dying in their 30s and 40s. When the Fukushima Daiichi disaster happened on March 11, 2011, the evacuation was so immediate that the exclusion zone basically became a sealed time capsule the exact Tuesday morning. In the town of Namie, inside Hokkaido Elementary School, the upper floor classrooms were high enough that the tsunami water didn't reach them, but the radiation did, and nobody's touched them since. The chalkboards still have March 11, 2011 written in the corner. Below it, there are scrawled notes, some written by teachers during the initial earthquake, giving instructions to students. Messages like "We will meet again" and "Stay strong, Hokkaido" are still up there. The desks are still lined up in rows, backpacks still hanging on their hooks, notebooks are open to half-finished math problems and kanji exercises. Because the radiation kept looters out for years, literally every pencil and eraser is still sitting exactly where a kid put it down when the sirens went off. And there's just something kinda eerie about that, if you ask me. Consono was supposed to be Italy's version of Las Vegas, but in 1976 and 77, a series of landslides buried the only road in, and that was it. The city became completely cut off. The strangest thing inside the ruins isn't just the wild architecture, it's what's inside one specific storefront in the main shopping gallery. There's a pile of hundreds of mismatched shoes from the late 60s and early 70s stacked up in a corner. Nobody knows why the shopkeepers didn't take their inventory with them when the road was still passable, or why someone later decided to stack them together. St. Thomas, Nevada didn't burn down or get abandoned overnight, it got flooded on purpose. After the Hoover Dam was built, the rising waters of the Colorado River swallowed the whole town, and it sat under around 90 feet of water at the bottom of Lake Mead for nearly a century. But after severe droughts, the lake has been dropping, and the town has been slowly surfacing again. The foundations of old buildings are strange enough, but what's really unsettling is the cemetery. When the town was scheduled to be flooded in the 30s, the government was supposed to relocate all the bodies first. They didn't get them all. As the silt and water have pulled back, concrete vault lids have been emerging from the mud, many of them cracked or shifted from nearly 100 years of underwater pressure. Some of the headstones are still there as well, but the inscriptions have been completely smoothed away by decades of erosion, leaving behind blank gray slabs. Pyramiden is a Soviet coal mining town on the Svalbard archipelago deep in the Arctic Circle. In 1998, the Russian government gave everyone just a few days' notice to pack up and leave. Because of the extreme cold, nothing here really decays the way it normally would. There are no insects, no bacteria, nothing that would usually break things down over time. Walk into the cultural center, and it looks like everyone just stepped out for a minute. A standout find is the music room. A red October grand piano is still sitting in the center. It's known as the northernmost piano in the world. Visually, it's in great shape, but does it sound good? Well, I've heard mixed reviews. It can still be played. Of course, it's not going to sound as good as an instrument with better upkeep. Soviet-era murals cover the walls, but the paint is starting to break off in big jagged chunks from the frost. Pyramiden is also famous for its statue of Vladimir Lenin, the first head of government of Soviet Russia from 1917 until his death in 1924. Bodie, California is probably the most well-known ghost town in America. The state keeps it in what they call arrested decay. Nothing gets restored, only stabilized. Most of the town's objects are just left where they are, but one of the most specific discoveries was a leather briefcase found jammed underneath the floorboards of a collapsed boarding house. It had no gold or cash inside, unfortunately. What it had were the personal items of a man from the late 1800s, bundles of letters, legal documents, handwritten maps. Papers laid out a messy divorce settlement, failed business deals, love letters that were never sent. Basically just a box where someone had buried their worst secrets and hoped they'd never surface. In the woods of Alabama, there are several old company towns that got left behind when the iron and coal mines ran dry in the mid-20th century. In one superintendent's manor house, explorers found an upstairs bedroom where part of the roof had caved in. In the middle of the room, though, still on a mannequin, was a wedding dress. Everything else in the house is completely destroyed, but the dress is still there. Because it was made from heavy silk and synthetic lace, common in the 1940s, it didn't fall apart the way cotton curtains and wallpaper did. It's not white anymore, though. Decades of humidity and bat droppings have turned it this sickly yellow gray. Probably the eeriest part is the positioning, though, facing out the window. It's like a ghost standing there looking out over the dead town. In a quiet village out in the English Midlands, where people slowly moved away after the local jobs disappeared, workers fixing up an old shed found a hidden compartment in the bottom of a big wooden chest. Inside was this leather-bound portfolio dated 1823. It was a collection of what the owner called medical curiosities. The pages were filled with careful hand-colored drawings of people with serious physical deformities, each one labeled with descriptions. It didn't feel like something meant for a doctor, though. It felt more like a personal journal or collection. You see, mixed in with the drawings were actual samples pinned to the pages, small dried pieces that looked like bits of skin and hair, stuck in place the same way someone might pin insects into a display. The compartment was hidden well enough that the whole thing survived almost 200 years of damp air. As for who the owner was, though, nobody knows. There's one room in a school in Pripyat that people always talk about. That's because the entire floor is covered in gas masks. You'd assume they were dropped during the evacuation, but that's not exactly what happened. After the disaster, looters broke in and pulled the filters out of the masks because they contained small amounts of silver. What got left behind, of course, were hundreds of empty masks scattered across the floor. But seeing this many gas masks in one place is unsettling. It looks like the aftermath of some kind of collapse, which I guess technically it was. For the people who lived there, especially the young folks, that day must have felt exactly like that. Everything changed almost overnight, and nobody really understood what was happening. And that was on purpose. These masks were never used. Not long before the accident, students had practiced putting them on as part of emergency training. You think that when the reactor exploded, those masks would have come out right away. Instead, when the evacuation started, people were told not to use them. Communist Party leadership worried that if everyone started wearing gas masks, it would cause panic and make the situation look worse than they wanted it to seem. And that has been the video for today. I will catch you, yes you specifically, in the next one.